What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I normally don't cover news like this. I usually let the big dogs take care of these things, but this is one of those that kind of hit close to home for me. I don't know the man, but check this out, y'all, in case you haven't heard yet. Charlie Kirk has died after being shot at an event in Utah. President Trump says, I'm really covering this mostly because of the reaction by the corporate press. But even still, yes, Charlie Kirk is no longer with us, folks. He was shot from a sniper's nest, I guess you could call it, from 200 yards away. I believe that's what the reporting is right now, currently, about 200 yards away. He was hit in the neck and bled out, essentially. He was rushed to the hospital and was reported to be in stable condition, like critical, but stable for a little while, but eventually, I guess, didn't hang on and is no longer with us. And look, Charlie Kirk is legend, right? This guy, this right here is what everybody should try to achieve in their lives. This is talking about going from nothing to something. He started the TPUSA, basically a 50, I think it's a 501c. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. It could be a 504c. I forget. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get off of that. But started this activist group, essentially TPUSA, that is pretty much a household name at this point. Everybody knows it. They're just as big as the RNC, essentially. That they are, you can attribute a lot of the modern conservative movement to specifically Charlie Kirk and TPUSA. That's how monumental of an impact Charlie Kirk has had on the conservative movement, right? Which shouldn't even be a thing. Like, conservative movement, really. Like, people that are just steeped in tradition and just want Christian values, whether you're a Christian or not, right? You don't have to be a Christian to adhere to Christian values. For goodness sakes, our country is was deeply Christian. And there's a lot of people that are trying to bring that back, that are trying to get back to some semblance of praising God, because God is our creator, you guys. Like, Jesus Christ, right? You cannot get to heaven without going through Jesus. And you've got to spread that message. I started talking about it in my videos at the end of every video, and I don't talk about God and religion nearly as much as I should, but I am not a preacher. I am not a deliverer of the word, right? I have not even read the entire Bible, for goodness sake. So it's not really, I'm not going to say it's not incumbent upon me, but, as Christians, we all should get out there and spread the word a little bit. So I try to tell people, look, God is always with us. Right? Whether you know him or not, he is with us. And if anybody deserves to go to heaven, Charlie Kirk is one of these people, at least from all outward appearances, right? From what we can see. Now, I don't know his background. Like I said, I've never met the man, but he is absolutely legendary in this space. And this is a major loss, folks. Major loss. But I can almost guarantee you, somebody will come up and essentially replace him. You're not ever going to be able to fill his shoes, essentially, is what I'm getting at with this. But we're going to have other people come up into the spotlight and push a good Christian conservative message in this country. These people, look, I'm going to give you an anecdote right quick before we get into the news. I went to pick up my son from soccer practice. I have to do that every day. He plays for the high school team. And when he got in, I had just heard about this, and I went to a video to listen to something about it right quick. Listen to them talk about it, essentially when it was breaking. And he hadn't died at this point, but I had found this news article, so I knew it had happened. But he gets in, and my son is shocked. Like, what? So he messages one of his friends. And his friend's laughing about this. He said, good. That's how deranged these lunatics are, folks. These leftists. Somebody that would want to take out somebody like Charlie Kirk. There are sick individuals, folks. This guy's not trying to hurt anybody. Not trying to hurt a soul. But the narrative that is pushed by the left is Christians are evil for some reason. They're just a bunch of bigot misogynists. Like, no, folks, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of what Christianity is. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of Charlie Kirk, as a matter of fact. Charlie Kirk pushes a good message that we should all be moral. We should all think about these things before we act, before we do these things, right? Good Christian, go to church, for goodness sakes. Be a good, upstanding citizen. You know, we want to adhere to our laws. Our laws are paramount in this country. You know, it's fundamental to this nation that we apply our laws equally. And those laws derive from morality. You know, like look at the 10 Commandments. You know, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, you covet thy neighbor. These are all laws. Laws derive from all of those, folks. Honor your parents, your mother, and your father. There's 10 of them. I'm not going to go through all those, but most of our laws derive from morality that derives from the Bible, that derives from God. That's where everything comes from, folks. That's where we were created from. If it were not for God creating the universe, we would not be here. But to say that Charlie Kirk was worth taking out of the game is insane. These people, they manipulate themselves, if you will. They listen to these messages and they lie to themselves to think that somebody like Charlie Kirk is a threat, a danger to this nation. That's the opposite. That's antithetical to reality, essentially. We need more Charlie Kirks. We need more people pushing Christian conservative values. And I don't understand. Where's the blood clot here with Democrats? Don't you think Democrats should have moral values as well? Don't you think that they should value human lives? But they don't. Just look at their policies, folks. They don't value human life. They want to trans your kids, which is sterilizing that child, and put them into a box where they are 45% more likely to end up like Charlie Kirk, not shot in the neck, but shot in the neck by their own hand, essentially. Instead of trying to put them down the path of reality of, look, you are not the opposite. You're not a different gender. You're male or you're female or whatever they were born as, because they weren't assigned anything. They developed those parts. That was a gift from God, whatever that is, right? Whatever gender, sex you are, that's what you developed as, for crying out loud. That's what you were chosen to be by God. You have a problem with that, take it up with God. But all this delusion affirmation is making people's minds break, right? Self-accountability is going by the wayside. We can look at crime data and look at all this. Look at what's going on with that Ukrainian woman that was shot. I'm sorry, not shot, but stabbed on that light rail car in Charlotte. For goodness sakes, there's no accountability. There are people coming out calling Charlie Kirk racist for pointing out statistics. I'm sorry, folks. If somebody points out statistics, that has nothing to do with race. When I first saw that story, I'm like, that race has nothing to do with this. And even still, I caught myself today. I was listening to somebody talking about this after we got the audio that this guy was walking around saying, I got that white woman. And they were saying, well, this makes it a hate crime. And I'm thinking to myself, like, no, it doesn't. That's not necessarily true. I'm steadily trying to make sure race is not involved in any of these matters, because I don't think it needs to be, folks. But getting back to Charlie Kirk, it's truly insane where the left is. They think that is okay. And we'll see. I'm going to read this news article, and where the AP, they're reporting on this, it's truly insane. Check this out, Joe. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk, the CEO and co-founder of the conservative youth organization Turning Point USA, has died after being shot Wednesday at an event at Utah Valley University, President Trump said. Like, what does Trump have to do with anything about this? How about just report the facts? Like, we can all go look this up. I don't understand that. Like, are they trying to insinuate here that it's not true? Or is that where the breaking news is coming from? You mean the AP does not have on-the-ground journalists that will go and figure this stuff out for themselves? This is manipulation by the corporate press. That's what that is. Because if you don't like Trump, you're not going to believe anything he says. So why would you believe that? It's insane. But this next paragraph, This shooting comes amid a spike in political violence in the United States across all parts of the ideological spectrum. Once again, folks, that's not true. That is absolutely not true. Like, we know where the violence comes from. But why? Why does the AP insist on saying it's coming from all sides? Why? Why do they insist on that? That's pretty much tantamount to saying that all Jewish people come from Israel. Like, no, there's Jewish Americans over here. Like, we know where the vast majority of this political violence is coming from, and it comes from the left. It always comes from the left. Like, I'm not saying that the right does not engage in these things, because they do. It's just few and far in between, folks. True conservatives do not engage in terroristic activities like this. They just don't do it. Sure, you get the alt-right, or whatever the hell the left wants to call it, these white supremacists and neo-Nazis. But to me, they're just anti-leftists, if you will. They're not conservatives. That's not a conservative, folks. But they get lumped in with us. Anything that is not far left gets lumped in with conservatives across the whole ideological spectrum. Let's get into the facts. Here's what we know so far. The victim, 31-year-old Kirk, is the latest victim in a spasm of political violence across the United States. He co-founded Turning Point USA in 2012 at the age of 18 and soon became a regular presence on cable TV, where he leaned into the culture wars and heaped praise on Donald Trump. Like, really, is that all he did? Leaned into the culture wars and heaped praise on Donald Trump? See, this is the message that you get from the corporate press. They don't understand nuance. They just want to lump him in with Donald Trump because they view Donald Trump as bad. So, hey, if we can lump him in with Donald Trump, he's bad too. He's essentially evil as well. That's what they're trying to get at here. The shooter. Authorities are still searching for the suspect, the mayor says. A person who was taken into custody at Utah Valley University was not the suspect. So yeah, if you're hearing that, somebody was detained briefly for this. I saw the video, but according to a person familiar with the investigation and was not authorized to speak publicly, it was not clear if authorities were still searching the campus for a suspect. The location. Kirk was speaking at a debate hosted by TPUSA. The event at UVU had been met with divided opinions on campus. An online petition calling for university administrators to bar Kirk from appearing received nearly 1,000 signatures. The university issued a statement last week citing First Amendment rights and affirming its commitment to free speech, intellectual inquiry, and constructive dialogue. Constructive dialogue, huh? See, this is what the left does. Their worldview is antithetical to conservatives, and when conservatives speak, it destroys their narrative. This is why most conservatives always win debates with leftists, because we've got facts and logic and morals on our side. That is essentially what propelled Charlie Kirk to superstardom, essentially, was debating college kids, debating anybody just about. But, the left, they'll say, well, they'll give these college kids a handicap. Oh, well, they're unprepared for the debate, and they're just young kids. They don't know what they're talking about. Excuses. That's copium, folks. That's all that is. That is all that is, because most of the time he debates these people that are studying that very topic that they're debating. So they should know better than him, to be honest with you. But Charlie Kirk, just one after another, just knocks these people down. Facts and logic, folks. Because facts don't care about your feelings. They don't. And when all your arguments are emotional manipulations, folks, you are going to lose the debate every single time. Every single time. Let's keep going. Updates take time. Here we go with the excuses. Compiling accurate and thorough information on an active shooting takes time. Reporters are working to piece together the details from eyewitnesses' accounts, authorities, and other sources. There we go, folks. That's all of that. That's all we got so far. So there's a lot that's unknown. Hopefully they find this guy. And, we're going to hear all the excuses from leftists. Oh, he's got mental health issues, blah, 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 blah. But this is what, like CNN, especially CNN's bad about this, but MSNBC, the corporate press in general, the mainstream news, they feed into this narrative. They are the source of this narrative, essentially. And these people feed into that narrative. These people, they don't fact check. They just believe what they hear, and then they run with that. And then they make up their own ideas in their head, and it gets worse. This is the political divide in this country. Like I always say, folks, it is essentially people that just appeal to authority versus skeptics. People that fact check that authority figure and come to find out, oh, hang on, they've lied to us before. We're going to search for ourselves and then find the truth, find the facts, find the evidence. And, add a little bit of logic into there, and boom. That's the political divide in this country, folks. And it's insane. And it is getting to a boiling point. Like, look, I'm sorry to anybody, but you do not see conservatives engaging in stunts like this. I'm trying to be nice here. Really trying to be nice. Charlie Kirk was an absolute legend, folks. This is just truly insane. Like I said at the beginning, this is devastating. It absolutely is. And what I would say to anybody out there, anybody that is gleeful about this, there's something wrong with you. There's absolutely something wrong with you. And we see this every time. We see this all the time. Now, I'm not saying people on the right don't do this too, but I can promise you, you do not find conservatives engaging in gleefulness because somebody, a leftist, centrist, Democrat, Republican, white supremacist, doesn't matter, are no longer with us. You do not see conservatives engaging in that type of activity, if you will. You will not see that. Anybody that does, they're not conservative. Absolutely. This is an absolute atrocity. And I hope the FBI puts the full weight of their authority onto this and finds this person quickly. And hold them accountable, folks. I hope that person spends the rest of their life in prison. There you go. It is what it is, folks. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. I really don't know what else to say about this. It's just insane, folks. And the temperature needs to get turned down. Personally, I am not going to back off. I am not going to back off at all. That is not how we push back against these insane leftists, by backing off. We've got to push back even harder. And I'm not talking about engaging in that type of activity. We just keep pushing what we do, folks. God and Jesus. Just keep pushing God. That's all we got to do, folks. Eventually these people will come around. They'll see the light. But like I said, that's all I got. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. It blew my freaking mind. I was blown away about this, folks. This is absolutely devastating, y'all. But y'all smash that like button for me, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay logical. Peace.